I wasn't really sure of a title, and then I looked at this and I was like, this isn't very interesting, is it? So this is a bad title, and the title that I probably should have used is the one that sort of sparked it, which is I wrote a little thing last week that sort of got picked up and turned into this weird monster, which was this. So I'm going to briefly argue why this is true, and then maybe be positive about it afterwards. I promise it comes good in the end. And so, like, my interest in this has come from the fact that as a kind of side project, I started a little jobs website. It's now called Coffee Jobs Board, and it was there mostly so I got less email, because I used to get a lot of email about people wanting work, and I figured I don't like email, so they could meet elsewhere. And one thing I've seen is, wow, like jobs in coffee have just exploded. Like everyone is hiring someone who wants to work in coffee. Now, just for me, just real quickly, can you raise your hand if you own or operate a coffee business? All right, so there's a good amount of you in here. That's good. If anyone wants to tell me that that it's really easy to find staff right now, that's okay. I want the secret sauce, and we'll discuss this later. But owing to the fact that I've seen probably 300 to 400 adverts a month going up on one website, pretty much in London, tells me there's a huge demand. And the weird thing is we have relatively high rates of unemployment amongst the demographic that often works in coffee, right? So there's big demand, and then there are lots of people who want jobs, but they don't want to work in coffee. So what happened? Why is this? So here's a pretty simple idea. This is true of everything, right? Like this is just, I think, a truth of life. Quality is hard. Quality is difficult. I don't care if we're talking about cars, wine, cheese, any of that stuff. Like doing a good job is generally a difficult thing. It's not easy, and if it's easy, we don't really think of it as being a high quality thing. And coffee is very difficult, right? Like undeniably so. I think we probably agree, right? And yeah. So when, if I think back 10 years ago in London, this was proven true by the fact that it was really hard to drink good coffee, right? Because no one really knew how to do it. People were selling coffee. There was lots of coffee for sale, but it wasn't generally very good, and that's because there was this sort of knowledge gap, right? We didn't know how, we didn't have the skills at that time to do that thing. And so the industry worked out that we'd often talk about like the last 3 feet of coffee's journey. We talk about the seed to cup story and like harvesting ripe fruit, processing it well, drying it well, sorting it well, shipping it, roasting it well. It gets to the cafe, and for years and years, the sort of the finger point went to the barista who made a terrible coffee, and it was all their fault, right? So the industry as a whole decided we needed to fix this problem, and so we really went hard on how important it was to have good coffee making skills. This, I suppose, gets epitomized by these things, the kind of barista championships, these crazy things where being really good at coffee was like a really big deal. And yes, I fully participated in this. This was very much a thing for me. And so we really made a big deal about how important and how valuable good coffee making skills are. Because they are, we're entirely dependent on them. The whole chain is dependent on them. But then we come to this very difficult and slightly challenging problem, which is this. Coffee is a non-transferable skill. Getting really good at coffee is great if you want to work in coffee, but it's not as useful if you want to do something else. So we have this slightly awkward truth that we're not very good at talking about, and it's not a pleasant truth, but we probably should be honest. And that's most people who go into coffee cannot progress beyond that first job because there simply aren't enough roles, right? The pyramid is very wide at the base, where, say, baristas are. It narrows pretty sharply into kind of cafe management, and it narrows sharply again down into working in, say, a roastery or another business like that. And so what we intended to do, because we needed to, was really skill people up in this one area, and then be like, but, that's it, there you go. And that was it, you couldn't take that further. The crueler truth is that as the market has developed, Businesses who are looking to take people up and forwards are looking for other skills than coffee as well. We're looking for transferable skills. We are. There's lots of people with those coffee skills, and amongst those, the people with the transferable skills are often those that get the opportunities to progress. Now, this seems very doom and gloom. This seems very coffee is a dead-end job, but it's also a pretty good reason of why lots of people really wouldn't want to come and work in coffee. Because what are you going to give me? You're going to give me money, you're going to give me a pretty flexible working life, that's good. You're going to give me a great environment and a team to work with, that's all very positive and enjoyable. But there's lots about working in coffee that is great fun. But what do I do with this after? What can I do here? Now, I think coffee is interesting because coffee is full of small businesses. And small businesses are wonderful things because everyone who works in a coffee shop is pretty much 1 degree of separation from the heart of the business. Right? You're pretty much almost instantly at the coalface. Now, you go and work in corporate, you can be 3 or 4 degrees of separation away from anyone that even has vague P&L responsibilities, vague budgetary responsibilities. But in a small business, well, it's great, it's small, you're right in the heart of the machine. And this, to me, is a great opportunity. I think in small businesses, there are tons and tons of stuff that people can be taught and can learn about that are extremely useful, transferable skills. Coffee is one piece of the puzzle, and we need to teach about coffee, but once we start to teach about other things, this becomes much, much, much more attractive. And it's kind of a win-win. I'll give an example. Let's go with costings. Of the people, I'm not going to make you put your hands up, but imagine I'm asking you to. Of the people in this room, who knows what their wastage was on coffee today? No? This week? This quarter? This year? What about your milk wastage? Anyone? No? Ish, just, Now, who thinks their business would be better if they knew exactly what their coffee wastage was, at least to the week, if not the day? Right? So, why don't you know what your wastage is? Well, I can pretty much guarantee the answer. It's that, right? I don't have time. I'm running a business. I don't have time to check how much coffee we wasted today. Even though that would be a very useful thing to understand not only where we're making mistakes, but how to price the items on our menu, the very basis of the financial model of this business. The actual cost of goods, actually knowing what they are, is a massive deal. But that very simple piece of maths, that simple measurement that would take somebody 5 minutes. 5 minutes. How much coffee did I start with? How much coffee did I end with? That's how much I used. Divide by number of drinks sold equals, that's how much coffee I used per drink. I know how much I wanted to use, and the gap is my wastage. That's not complicated maths. And that's just one little tiny opportunity. But if we start to teach people in our businesses all of these little details, they end up with a ton of really interesting, really useful, transferable skills. One of the biggest advantages of a cafe is that it is a small business. Everyone is close to everything. And I just think there's most definitely an opportunity to do something with that. So, this is a beginning, this is a starter. I figure going forwards, one size is not going to fit all, Now, in one business, the business owner may be very, very passionate about, let's say, marketing. And they may really want to own that and teach that, or they may not know too much about marketing. So why not take it as an opportunity to let someone explore, have a little trust, let them develop, teach people, give them resources. So I figure what we need to do for every business, it's your own deal. But pick your opportunities. Pick areas where you think developing someone would be extremely beneficial to you. Secondly, make some promises. The most obvious place to do this is in the advert for the job of which you're trying to fill. Be clear about what you're going to teach them, and be clear that you're going to teach them about a lot more than just how to pull great shots of espresso or how to pour good-looking drinks. And then ultimately, do it. Keep the promises. Because for me, this small business thing is a great opportunity. And what would be amazing is if small businesses, if small kind of specialty cafes developed a reputation as a great place to go and work for a couple of years to pick up a bunch of skills about running a small business, to pick up a bunch of skills about P&L, about costings, about marketing, about teamwork, about communication. If we got a great reputation, I would argue it'd be a hell of a lot easier to fill the positions that we have and bring in a pretty diverse and interesting range of people to work in our industry. Because right now, it's really tough and we have to do something. So I figure, well, let's have a conversation. Here's an idea thrown out to you from me. Let's talk about it. I don't expect to be writing all of this. You can pull this to pieces, and please do. To me, to each other, I don't mind. But I think at the root of this, I think it's a good idea. Something worth exploring a little bit more. I'll say, before I finish, that we want to help. I don't know how, but know that we want to help. If it's helping with creating resources, if it's helping being a place to talk about this stuff, I don't know. But we want to help. Know that. Go away with that idea. We want to help. Any way we can. You know as well as we know what that is going to be. Just ask. If we can't do it, we can't do it. We want to help. But for now, again, thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Please hang out. Please talk to each other about this, if only to just agree about how terrible my ideas are. Or hopefully, there's a little nugget of something interesting there for you. But I'll say thank you, and any questions, I'd be delighted to answer them. Thanks.